So for this week we're talking about an introduction to polynomials. This particular problem is number 43 on page 219 if you want to follow along. So we're finding the total area of all these figures. Now total is kind of the key word here. That implies a sum or addition. So when we're finding the area of a particular figure, for squares and rectangles, that's just length times width. So when we're looking at this, we're going to find the area of each one of these individual figures and then add them all up. Now obviously this answer is going to be in terms of x, and that's fine. So we'll start with number 1 here. Find the area of this figure, and so that's going to be 2x times 2x. So if we look at this, in order to figure this multiplication out, we're going to start by looking at the coefficients out in front of the variable. So we will have 2 times 2, which is 4, and then we'll multiply our x's together, and x times x is x squared. So the area of figure 1 is 4x squared. Now we're going to do the same thing for the rest of our figures. So if we look at figure 2 here, we've got 7 times x, and that's just 7x. Since we have a coefficient and a variable, we can't really combine those together in any way, so they just kind of get stuck together like that. And then for figure 3, we have x times x, which is x squared. And then our last one here, we've got 5 times x, which again, as we saw in figure 2, is just 5x. And now, from here, we're going to add all of these values up. So we have 4x squared plus 7x plus x squared plus 5x. Now when we're doing addition and subtraction, in order to combine like terms, the variable and the exponent have to match exactly. So if this was, say, a y, we couldn't combine this with anything else in here because they're all x's. And since this one has a squared with it, we can't combine it with this 7x term because this x doesn't have an exponent with it. So we can only combine this 4x squared with this single x squared over here. And what might help is if you have a single variable here, or a variable term with no coefficient out in front, you can imagine, or actually write in, a 1, because there's an implied 1 in front of this term. So we're going to add 4x squared to 1x squared, so we add these coefficients out in front, and that gives us 5x squared. And we're going to do the same thing with our x terms here. 7x plus 5x, we add the coefficients out in front. That gives us 12x. Therefore, this is our answer. 5x squared plus 12x is the total area of all these figures. Please let me know if you have any questions.